Previously, after Ragna shows his strength and potential to Elise, she finally admits that she's indeed Crimson. The dragon agrees to join forces with Ragna to eradicate his own kind, aiming to slay the 6 bloodlines and the god of dragons. When it's all over, Crimson wants Ragna to slay him, bringing about the extinction of dragonkind. Currently, Crimson's slime manifests into a small boy whose name is, well, Slime. Though he isn't as strong as Rimuru, he makes up for it with his sass and spunk as he scolds Ragna for being haughty toward his master. However, he gets shut down by said master by landing on top of him. Crimson wants to know all about the future from Ragna, but aside from confidently telling him that they'll lose, the dragon hunter doesn't quite remember what actually happened. Though Crimson's confidence in him in that regard plummets, Ragna swears he remembers his Silverine battle arts clearly. Later, after Ragna saves a group of people from a bunch of dragons, Crimson introduces him as Ragna the Reaper, a master dragon hunter, and himself as a human mage. With a tongue as sly as Asagiri Gen's, the dragon tricks everyone into thinking that his powers are simply magic. Suddenly, a dragon hunter approaches them, requesting they slay a dragon from which they all ran away from. Upon hearing of the beast's complete control of the wind, Crimson recognizes him as the 3rd seed of the winged bloodline, Dices Trois, otherwise known as the Tempest Cell. Immediately, Ragna wants to go after the dragon, but he unexpectedly collapses due to muscle soreness, and this is why you should never skip stretches before and after workout. Anyway, Crimson concludes that he's been pushing himself too much with his newly acquired powers, and predicts he won't be able to move for 3 days. With Ragna out of commission, Crimson executes the first part of a plan he just came up with, manipulating the disheartened dragon hunters into fighting Dices Trois again despite the odds. He gives them Ragna's sword that can slay a powerful dragon, which ultimately convinces them. The next day, Crimson provides the dragon hunters with guns and bullets imbued with Ragna's Silverine. When the dragon realizes that his new ally is upset, he asks Ragna what his problem is. Aside from being unable to move, Ragna doesn't like how Crimson made a spectacle out of him, as he doesn't want people to get the wrong idea and get close to him. He fears they might die, like what happened to Leo in his other self's life. As the girl is Ragna's entire motivation, Crimson is invested in what happens to her too, and so comes up with the best way of ensuring that she's safe: hold her captive. The dragon suggests locking Leo up in one of his storage spaces and drugging her so she doesn't struggle. Gee, talk about intense! Naturally, Ragna doesn't react to his suggestion nicely and tries to punch Crimson. Like the asshat that he is, the dragon laughs, mocking Ragna, before kicking the teen who's already down on the ground. Still, he assures Ragna that he won't put his pawns to waste, saying he'll end Dices Troy. Crimson then demonstrates what being cursed means, having no way to die. After Slime provides him with intel, Crimson decides to make the humans believe that there are still people alive in the town, even though he's quite sure there are no survivors left. At dawn, he rallies the dragon hunters before they drive toward town. Using a megaphone, Crimson insults Dices Trois and his progenitor, provoking the dragon into following him. As expected, the furious Dices Troy chases after them, which makes Crimson smirk, especially since the sun is rising. Though the sun won't kill the powerful dragon, his abilities will still weaken. The dragon hunters start shooting Dices Troy's tornado like they were instructed to do, and to their surprise, parts of the rapidly swirling wind freeze. Crimson reflects that this is because Silverine actually freezes a dragon's magic, not its blood, as was believed. The redhead predicts Dices Trois's thoughts at every turn, and he leads the chase while the dragon hunters rain him with Silverine-infused bullets. The green-haired dragon is enraged, and his tornado becomes even more massive until all of it suddenly vanishes, launching the surprised Dices Trois into the air. It turns out that the whole structure which he just passed is infused with Silverine thanks to Ragna, and a second later, Slime grabs the airborne dragon and slams him into a silver pike. Dices Trois doesn't even have time to react or analyze what just happened. His heart starts to freeze and he desperately calls out to his wind, but he fails. He starts panicking, especially when the sun starts burning his skin. In a desperate bid to save himself, he elevates the section of land where the dragon hunters holding the pike are standing. He momentarily escapes, trying to transform, before he's run over by Crimson's truck-kun. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't get isekai and only gets bombarded with Silverine bullets. Crimson reflects that the 3rd seed of the winged bloodline is no lightweight, and if he was given a chance to transform into his dragon form, he would have summoned up to 8 tornadoes at the same time. However, he was arrogant, and that's what led to his demise. Ragna is immensely impressed with him and muses that he made the right choice of following Crimson. Later, after Crimson gives the dragon hunters food, weapons, and vehicles so they can escape the country, he makes them forget all about him. Still, they remember Ragna, whom they give their thanks, and they all part amicably. After they leave, Crimson, who's not only like a redhead Astolfo, but also a redhead Doraemon, magically pulls out a radio out of his hat. The Royal Lisi army has something to announce, as there's a large-scale dragon attack at a city near the border. They're mandating all citizens in every city to evacuate to the capital. Ragna immediately recognizes it as a trap, to which Crimson agrees, saying they're corralling the citizens into the capital. The 3 of them then set for the capital. 5 days earlier in the capital, King Femudlese is informed that Dona Piera was attacked by dragons. After giving out instructions that'll provide aid to the destroyed city, he's wondering what caused the attack when time suddenly freezes. From above, a golden-winged person descends, and though she looks absolutely angelic, she's a powerful dragon granted the title of Monarch by her god. She's Ultimatia, the first seed of the winged bloodline, and immediately the king is alarmed, especially since they're within the solar shield, a barrier that's supposed to protect the city from dragons. Ultimatia assures him it's still intact, and that she's actually feeling quite hot just by being there. She reveals that everyone is unharmed as she simply manipulated time and made the world stand still. Ultimatia has come to apologize for the attack on Dona Pieru and states that the perpetrator has been punished. Baffled and left with no choice, King Lisi accepts her apology. Ultimatia then says she never intended for people to suffer, only wanting that they peacefully disappear. The king is shocked, and as if she didn't drop a bomb, the dragon explains that the country must disappear as their god decreed it so. It will be a one-sided bloodbath, and consequently, King Lisi decides to convert the solar shield into a weapon, intending to end the wicked queen of dragons. Suddenly, his advisor moves, striking the king first with his power. The old man is actually a dragon in disguise. He's the 7th seat, Elder Borgias. However, Ultimatia hates brutality and turns back time, returning the king to his previously uninjured state. Again, she apologizes while King Lisi is horrified, having remembered his death. He despairs, seeing no hope of winning against the dragons. Ultimatia says there's no escape from death, but there is escape from fear and torment as long as the king cooperates. The frightened human agrees, accepting her offered hand. Soon, citizens from every country arrive in the capital, but their numbers don't concern the despairing king, who tells his men not to worry about the future. Outside, the severed head is alive, amused that the king is soulless. When Ultimatia arrives, she informs the head that in 10 days, they'll be able to give all the people gathered in the capital a tranquil death. However, there's a problem. Dornea, the 9th seat, has been defeated by Starlia Lisi, the 2nd princess of the kingdom, and the Argatum Corps. While Ultimatia has already sent the 5th and the 6th seats after her, the 3rd, 8th, and 10th seats of their bloodline all have disappeared near the southern border. The severed head suspects it's the work of Solarians, or perhaps dragons from a different bloodline, but Ultimatia says Elder Borgias thinks that the perpetrator may be an entirely unknown threat. After she gives the severed head his heart back, his whole body regenerates. Ultimatia then commands the 2nd seat, Wolte Kamui, also known as the Lightning Claw, to subdue the insurgents. When he asks for a kiss as a reward, he only gets a punch in response. In his alternate life, Ragna pursued the winged bloodline, but he lost. As he's under the mercy of their whims, the dragons decide what to do with him, and while some want the human to meet his end harshly, others feel indifferent. Ragna is frustrated at himself for being so weak, but already he's so tired of all the anger that he somehow feels relieved that it'll all be over soon. Volte Kamui, who senses the human's yearning for death, refuses to kill him. He wants Ragna to suffer more in hatred and despair, but Ultimatia takes issue with his ruling. Instead, she wants to welcome the human into their bloodline, much to everyone's shock. As Ragna is a survivor of a country that she wiped out before, Ultimatia believes it's God's will that he become a dragon. As he's confused, the 10th seat, Grimvelta, explains that mature dragons like them used to be humans who were then given blood by their progenitor. Ragna is shocked and furious, but still, Ultimatia conjures a blade of blood and thrusts it into his heart. Currently, Ragna wakes up from his dream, musing that even though Crimson is a scumbag, He's much preferable to Eudemotia, who kills with twisted kindness. He's determined to hunt her, while Crimson thinks that though he prefers that Ragna pursue Ultimacia in the future, the opportunity of Volta Kamui being away is too good to waste. Finally, they arrive in the capital, where huge crowds of people convene. Crimson, who's female currently, wants her companions to call her Veronica. To her surprise, Ragna is puking, looking sick. What? As it turns out, he's a total introvert, much worse than Saiki Kushuo, who avoids social interactions as much as he can. Still, he assures Crimson that even if he feels sick, he'll still hunt Ultimacia. After instructing her companions to stay put, Crimson leaves. She muses that there are far too few people when the evacuees should have flooded the capital already. The dragon suspects that a mass culling is underway, and she's right, as in another part of the kingdom, the fourth seat, Nebulim is in charge of this task. When Elder Borgias discovers that their progenitor went outside, he scolds the younger dragon, saying they must keep her safe. Meanwhile, in the old district, Ultimacia disguises herself as she interacts with humans. Later, Crimson finds Lieutenant General Rowan and punishes him for having fun instead of gathering intelligence for her. He's her golem, whom she instructed to impersonate as a high-ranking army officer. Another one of her servants, Chimera, appears, and it's then that Crimson tells them of the plan to end the Winged Monarch. At the same time, after Ragna and Slime watch the Royal Lisa army assure the citizens that they can take on the dragons, they unexpectedly encounter, surprise, Ultimacia.
Wait a minute! Who are you?
Much to Ragna's shock.